Hi folks, Dr. Mindy Curry here. I'm a naturopathic doctor. I do house calls in the greater Portland area, and I have a small office in Milwaukee. And I'm here today to do a short video about this mushroom kit I got from the Michigan Mushroom Company on lion's mane mushroom. This is a medicinal mushroom, and this is my second run on this mushroom kit. This guy is pretty big, and he's starting to get a little bit dry, so it is definitely maybe even a day past time to harvest. It's definitely time to harvest now and turn this into a wonderful medicine. This is the lion's mane mushroom, if you can see that here. This is from Michigan Mushroom Company. The first batch I grew a huge one over here and another one over here. And then you're supposed to kind of switch it around, grow one off the back. I'm growing one off the back, and I'm going to try to grow another one yet. They say maybe you could get 3 runs out of this, and then take it out in the woods and throw it under a log and see if you can grow your own out in the nature. These are wild at certain parts of the U.S., not where I'm at right now that I know of, or I've not seen them in my wild, but I see them here in my bathtub where I'm growing them in this garden pot. According to the instructions, you put a paper towel in there and mist it regularly. Keep it in a fairly humid environment. And within about 2 or 3 weeks, you'll get a big mushroom like this. Cut that off, use it, flip it around, grow another mushroom off the back. Try again until you stop growing mushrooms. But just something I found on Amazon, and it's working quite well. Like I said, this is our second batch. So let's take this into the kitchen and turn it into a 2-stage tincture. With lion mane, you've got a couple different constituents in there that require different types of extraction. One, a water extraction, hot water extraction, the other being a very high alcohol extraction. And so we're going to do both of those and make a more well-rounded and 2-stage tincture out of this. Also, really great eating. Make a little mushroom steak. Delicious mushroom. So this is how my lion's mane mushroom came from the Michigan Mushroom Company, all in the box there originally. Just a big lump of mycelium and a bunch of sawdust. So lion's mane is Hericium erinaceus, and it's considered a nootropic food, which is a substance that enhances memory and facilitates learning. Now, this is a mushroom that's native to North America, Europe, and Asia, and it grows both on living and dead broadleaf trees, especially hardwood trees. And it produces in the late summer and fall months, so you might actually live where these are growing, and you can just find them out in the nature. Otherwise, this kit is really great because it's already been identified, and you're probably not going to get the wrong thing. These are pretty distinctive, though. So basically, the lion's mane has been used for millennia in traditional Chinese medicine and also in Japan. Research in animals and humans does suggest many anti-inflammatory, immunostimulating, antioxidant properties. These very wide-reaching benefits for health allow or have given lion's mane many uses for a variety of conditions. It can be used to support cognitive function. It can help protect brain cells from further damage. It can improve mood and depression and anxiety, reduce fatigue, reduce hypertension, improve cholesterol levels. It can be cardioprotective, also protects the liver and kidneys. It's antimicrobial, anti-carcinogenic, and just generally anti-aging. Now that's a lot of power for one little mushroom. We know this is a good one. Okay, we are in my kitchen, and here is my lion's mane. This is just a massive mushroom. It's big, quite big. It's furry. It starts out really smooth, but then it gets really furry, and eventually it starts to kind of dry out over here. That's when you know it's definitely time to pick it. You want to get it while it's still nice and soft and alive looking. And I think that is a beautiful lion's mane right there. So I'm going to make this into a 2-stage tincture and also a lion's mane steak. Let's start by removing the creepy part. That little guy, set that aside. See, it just kind of dries out and, I don't know, not as attractive. Probably totally edible still, but basically with this, for tincturing purposes, that was a little bit of plastic from the grow kit, we want to basically just chop this up into little bits and add it to a jar, and then add a very high alcohol, basically an Everclear. Here in Oregon we can get 190 proof, so that's what I'm going to use. Yeah, if you're in other states, well, just use as high alcohol content as you can of a vodka, or really, if you prefer a different flavor, go for a different flavor. That's fine too. It's all about preservation and extraction, and frankly, the alcohol extracts certain constituents better than other types of solvents like water or glycerite or whatever. So let's just start getting some slices out of this thing. Oh, look at that. It's quite lovely. Little air pockets in there. It's firm, but still quite soft and spongy. Looks very alive. This Michigan Mushroom Company kit, I think it's the real thing. So lion's mane is probably most studied for its impact on brain function and benefits to the cells of our nervous system. According to the International Journal of Medicinal Mushrooms, lion's mane enhances the outgrowth of axons and dendrites from neurons. These are the little arms that reach out from our nerve cells, making the connections between the cells that we need to receive and store information. This suggests benefits for both brain degeneration diseases, such as Alzheimer's and Parkinson's, also repair after strokes or traumatic brain injuries. You know, this one's just so beautiful. I'm going to keep this one aside for making into a mushroom steak. I'm just going to marinate that a little bit in a bit of Trader Joe's Ajika Georgian seasoning blend. I'm going to do this on top of a bit of olive oil in a pan until it's nice and brown, but might as well let it soak up some flavors in the meantime. A little bit of extra umami with some Bragg's liquid aminos. It's kind of like a soy sauce, but and I don't know if you've tried this, but it's amazing. Just set that aside. We'll chop the rest of this up for a tincture. Okay, isn't that beautiful? Got these guys all chopped up into little bits. Now this is one of those kind of medicinal plants, or I guess medicinal fungi, where you want to just kind of see if you can use it all. It's such a wonderful thing. You just don't want to waste any bit. So I'm going to try to tincture this in a 2-stage way. And then the last little bits, after I squeeze the tincture out, let's see what I can do with that culinarily. Hopefully it's good enough to bring you guys along. But we're at the stage now of the Goldilocks jars. Which jar fits? Or do we do 2 jars? Ooh. Well, also, that's how much of the Everclear I have. So let's try just stuffing these into one of these middle just right jars. See what happens. A 2021 study in the journal Antioxidants found neuroprotective effects against inflammation and oxidative stress associated with traumatic brain injury. Research on mice in Evidence-Based Complementary and Alternative Medicine journal found lion's mane stimulated cognitive function, memory in mice, both with and without an Alzheimer's model. Mice showed improvement of Alzheimer's symptoms after consuming lion's mane. Now you want to stuff your tincture jar pretty full, but you want it to have a little bit of spring still. You don't want it just to be basically a solid mushroom inside the jar. You want to get it up to the top, but then you want to poke it down in a little bit so you can get your ring fine, but not have it just be solid, because if it's solid you won't be able to get your solvent onto every bit of the mushroom or the herb that you're trying to extract. So here we are with the Everclear 190 proof alcohol, basically, or whatever you have available. The highest alcohol percent, you're going to want to do this 2-stage extraction. The first stage, high alcohol, because you're going to be adding that to a hot water bath extraction later. So you want to make sure you have a high enough alcohol percent in your end product to be preservative, and not just make a big expensive moldy mush out of your Michigan mushroom kit. Now look at that. Always wipe your rim clean. Now we will be setting this aside for at least a couple weeks to extract through the high alcohol content way. Then we'll come back and do the final stage of the 2-stage extraction, which is the hot water bath, and then we will add those together. Over here I've actually already done that, and this would be the tincture after about a week of adding together both of the stages. And you can see that there is the obvious layer of mushroom down here, but then up here there's a whole nother layer, and then up here a whole kind of different color, like a brighter redder color here. In here there's a really creepy slimy layer, and then down here it's all just kind of like traditional mushroom look. So you can see that the extraction definitely pulls out different fractions, and here the different fractions have settled in different ways in this long jar. We're going to do that again with the second mushroom that I've pulled off, or the second round of mushrooms I've pulled off. We're going to do that, but we're also going to snack. Let's take this over to the stove and get a little bit of delicious mushroom steak going. Okay, let's put that on good medium heat and just let it sizzle for a while. Come back to that in a moment. One human study published in Phytotherapy Research Journal found improvement of mild cognitive impairment after 16 weeks of treatment. However, these results did not last past 4 weeks after stopping supplementation. Basically, the seniors in this study took about 1,000 milligrams powdered lion's mane 3 times daily, and that seemed to help them in this study. Research into lion's mane brain benefits is still limited and has not progressed to large-scale human trials. There's less monetizable reward for researching things that grow easily without a profitable patent. Considering how easy it is to grow and its palatability, this is certainly worth a try if you're dealing with cognitive symptoms or just want to prevent problems in the future. Lion's mane is also considered to be an anti-cancer mushroom. Several studies on both cell lines and on animals have suggested therapeutic benefits that may help reduce the spread or metastasis, reduce growth of the tumor, and potentially even treat several cancer types. A Korean study suggested significant reduction in human leukemia cells exposed to phytochemicals from lion's mane. Another study in the International Journal of Biological Macromolecules found that lion's mane caused cell death and cell cycle arrest in the lab in gastric cancer cell lines. Other animal and cell line studies have found anti-cancer activities against lung cancer, breast cancer, and colon cancers as well. These anti-cancer benefits have not been confirmed in large human trials yet. Lion's mane may help hearts. Research in animals and in the lab suggests lion's mane can prevent elevated LDL cholesterol and lower blood lipids, as well as prevent blood clots. Better lipid levels reduces the risk of heart disease and may prevent strokes as a bonus. Lion's mane is good for your belly. Studies in Malaysia and China have reported compounds extracted from lion's mane may protect lab rats from developing gastric ulcers and help shrink existing ulcers. Studies on mice found symptom improvements in gastritis and inflammatory bowel disease. Lion's mane appears to have antibacterial effects against Helicobacter pylori, which is known to cause gastric conditions, especially gastric ulcers, according to a study in the Journal of Ethnopharmacology. Okay, here we're back. It's been sitting for a couple weeks now. You can see the color has changed. Those lion's manes have gone much more beige from the white they were before the alcohol extraction. So let's go ahead and strain this out. I'm going to want to strain it out for the second part of our extraction, the hot water bath. I'm just going to try to get all the alcohol-based medicine down and out. Let that sit a little while and drain a little bit more. Then we'll get our hot water bath extraction going on and add it together to make something more like this, the final product 2-stage. So we've gone over a few benefits. So what's in there that is so good? Research suggests over 32 bioactive compounds, plus it's rich in minerals including potassium, zinc, iron, and selenium. Lion's mane contains beta-glycan polysaccharides, which are complex carbohydrates, which have been correlated with health benefits such as improvements in the immune response and heart health. Okay, that's been sitting here for a while. Let's go ahead and take these guys out, dry it out, and put the remnants of our lion's mane in a pot. Hopefully it's gotten most of the alcohol squeezed out of there. Let's see what we got over here. Yeah, we got quite a nice amount there. It's like about 1.5 cups. So we're going to note that amount because you want to add about that amount and maybe a splash more of water in here. And then we're going to give it a hot bath extraction. So let's go get some water. Let's go ahead and put this back in the jar where it came from. We'll get the water in here. Okay. Let's get just around the amount that we had. Oh, a little bit much. And this is nice hot water, so let's go and pour in nearly boiling water in there. Just about the amount that we had of the alcohol extraction, plus a splash more. And then let's turn that on. But we don't really want to boil this. We just want to get it on a really low hot water bath. It is still full of alcohol, so it is possible that that could flare up if you were to have the flames up real high. But probably we've squeezed it out good enough that it shouldn't flare up. But if it does, just put the lid back on, and it's just a brief alcohol burn. Most of this is, of course, water, so it should be fine. And we're just going to kind of slow simmer this at a very, very low simmer, a hot water bath, for a couple hours. And then squeeze that out, or no, actually we're going to combine that, with the alcohol, and let that sit for a while longer in that two-stage process. And that's how we'll get to the final product. Let's let that sit. And okay, this has been in a hot water bath for a while now, so let's go ahead and take that out of the pan. And go ahead and mix the tincture, the alcohol extraction, back in. And now we'll jar that up. Let it continue to extract out for a while, and you can see the final result in this other jar here. See the different layers of the lion's mane. We do that and squeeze that out into a tincture. Just go ahead and do whatever you need to do. Put it in a bag or a press or just a sieve, and get that liquid out, and that will be your lion's mane tincture. Two-stage process. Yay! To be thorough, for medicinal use, it's probably preferable to make a tincture. There's an indigestible fiber in mushrooms called chitin. This fiber binds the medicinal compounds, preventing easy absorption. To get the best extraction, make a dual-stage extraction, both the hot water and the alcohol. The two major bioactive compounds are hericinones and erinaceus. Now, the hericinones are soluble in alcohol, where the erinaceus are soluble in hot water. To get that full spectrum extraction, you want both. Use the highest alcohol proof you can. If Everclear is legal in your area, use that. Now you're going to soak those macerated for a minimum of 2 to 4 weeks. Then pour off the alcohol and do a slow, low simmer in hot water for a couple more hours. This will help break down the chitin and extract the hericinones in the alcohol. The hot water then extracts the erinaceus. Combine them together and soak them for a couple more months before squeezing them off for your final tincture. The risks and side effects are not much. It's generally a safe food item, although individuals may have allergies or sensitivities to this or any other food item. Be aware that most studies have used the above-ground fruiting bodies of the mushroom, not the underground mycelium. Some commercial products add the mycelium and probably the sawdust it's growing on. These have not been studied this way, and it may just be a cheap filler to inflate milligram dosage. This is what sawdust mycelium looks like. Not very yummy. So now that I've shown you how to make some wonderful medicine, I want to remind you that it's very important to actually go see a doctor or a naturopath or at least an herbalist before starting any herbs for your condition. For one thing, you might not really understand what your true diagnosis is. You might think it's just a little bit of this or a little bit of that, and it can be easily cured from some herbs that you saw on the internet. when it's really something very serious and you're missing it and it could be fatal. And there's also interactions between herbs and drugs, and there are contraindications between some of the problems you might be having and the herbs you think you need for that. So don't start taking anything willy-nilly unless you really know what's going on. And to be sure, come see a naturopath like me. I do house calls in the greater Portland area, and I have a small office in Milwaukee. I love you.